Hello people, I am JABY KOAY. Joining me is ACHARA KIRK.
Hi.
We are going to discuss TAARE ZAMEEN, the Aamir Khan directed and starring film. Yes. Yes, we watched it. We finally watched it. Let's talk about what the story is real quick for those of you who don't know, as if you wouldn't. So we're following the story of a dyslexic 8-year-old child who is sent to boarding school, and he is realized by a teacher who is more in tune with students that he's actually pretty gifted.
The teacher, played by Aamir Khan, recognizes his, I don't know what you would call it, is it a learning disability or just that he has dyslexia, and how to help him academically.
Sure. I want to say first and foremost that I really like the lyrics in the music. I thought that they were very on point. They helped to facilitate in the telling of the story. They're songs that, like, if you were to listen to, I mean, I don't speak Hindi, but if I understood it, outside of the film, those are songs you could just listen to derive some inspiration from. It doesn't seem like it's exclusively for the movie. It feels like it could just be applicable to just people.
And also, after watching the movie, I will say that for about 2 days, I had the title song stuck in my head.
Yeah, it's pretty catchy music.
I was like humming it to myself as I was brushing my teeth.
What I want to also mention is, having done the interview with the president of Eros International of the Americas, it actually helped me in my viewing of this film. One thing he said that was very key, that is very obvious now, he articulated it very clearly for me, and that is, American movies are more about plot, Indian films are more about feeling. I thought that this really illustrated that point very clearly, because TAARE ZAMEEN is a lot more about feeling than it is about plot. Because I'm watching it, I'm like, this isn't really like plot driven. There's a story here, but it's a very simple story, and it's more about the mood and the feeling that the kid is going through, that Aamir Khan is going through, his reflection on his own life, and how, you know, these kids are mistreated and just kind of marginalized in society, and just the feeling of that. And there is a story there, it's just not super extensive. The movie overall is just more about how people feel about these things that are happening. In
addition to that, it's also just drawing attention to the fact that not all children think the same. You need to recognize this in children, and especially in education, to be able to help them excel.
While the film is focusing in on kids who are marginalized, I think that beyond that, it also allows us to open the discussion of how we kind of ignore other people's perspectives of things they might be going through, hardships, or just how they might feel about a certain thing, and we are kind of caught up in our own tunnel vision of what the reality is. These parents were so hell-bent on believing that the kid was just a screw-up, and he was just messing around and didn't really care, and a troublemaker, for lack of a better word. Not realizing whatsoever that something deeper might be going on with him that is much more fundamental to the situation, worth discussing. I really like that from a philosophical standpoint, because just the other day I was doing the vlog talking about how we often ignore each other's perspectives, and this film really illustrates how crucial it is to really investigate what's going on. I really liked the performance of the kid. I thought he did an excellent job. I don't know how old he was when he shot this. I haven't researched behind the scenes that much, but I thought that his performance was really, really good, and it was very believable. The struggle he was feeling, and then the arc his character experiences over the course of the film, where he's still very shy at the end. I felt like crying. I didn't cry, but I felt like crying. That moment when they're calling him out to come to the front and accept his reward, like he doesn't know how to receive that kind of wonderful attention. His whole life he's been receiving the opposite, and now here is finally like glory, and he doesn't know what to do with it. It's like how Joker described a dog catching a car.
What?
It's just the first thing that came to my mind.
Hi.
In The Dark Knight, Heath Ledger's Joker says,
I'm a dog chasing cars.
I'm like a dog trying to catch a car.
I wouldn't know what to do with one if I caught it.
That's random.
I know, it's still, my brain does weird things. I liked Aamir Khan's performance. You know, I really appreciate, on another level, I appreciate what Aamir Khan does. As far as I can tell, it seems like he often looks for these films where he can convey some kind of message, some kind of powerful, strong message. Every single film I've seen of his so far, I haven't seen any of his action stuff, but every single film I've seen of his so far, it conveys this very powerful message that you can like digest and think about and discuss. It just makes you think. It's always wonderful when any film can make you think. Even if at the end of it, the film is not great, but it gets you talking. Like we just watched 13 Reasons Why. I didn't love it, but it got us talking, you know, about a certain subject, which we'll get into another time. That's what I appreciate about Aamir Khan films. Everything I mean, BK, Three Idiots,
Rang de Basante.
Rang de Basante, Dongal, TAARE ZAMEEN partner. Like
Yeah.
every single film of his, there's some kind of important discussion that's going on, and I really dig that. And his performance was also good. I liked when he was moving around, dancing and singing and everything like that. Like he's so cool.
I felt like there were definitely parallels in the message between this film and Three Idiots, in the sense of not all of us have to fit into the box. You can definitely think outside of the box, and these people are valuable. And I think especially in Asian society, because I know this like from going to school and stuff, a lot of my friends say in my drama class their parents actually didn't approve of them doing drama.
Well, of
because
course
it
not.
wasn't
There's nothing definite there. You're not guaranteed to make a certain amount of income per year. In fact, you're engaging in a lifestyle that is more risky.
a lot of people don't really value art. They don't see what the
Well,
value of art is,
they
and then
value it when it's something huge that everyone can recognize.
Well,
like,
yeah,
like
but-
what he was saying in the movie. I agree with what you're saying that people don't value it at the outset. Casey Neistat's vlog.
This line is you. Over here is now.
Put up a sign and he says, over here at the beginning, they don't value you.
They're gonna tease you now because you don't have success just yet.
They crap all over you.
Yeah.
And you've got your dream, but you maintain that, and in between, they're afraid of
And
you.
in between, they're scared of you.
But at the end, they're jealous of you and you've made it.
Then you're gonna succeed and they'll want to be you.
And you've
Yeah.
become successful.
They tease you because they know when you succeed, they're gonna want to be you.
But that's not even what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the value of art within society as a means of self-expression, as a means of expressing the zeitgeist, as a means of discussing political things. Art is important, and not everyone's journey is to be a doctor, engineer, accountant.
Sure.
We need everyone. Everyone has their place.
What happens is people recognize that a lot of artists struggle, so they don't place as much importance on it, particularly for their children. That's not to say they don't appreciate it. Plenty of people listen to music and watch movies and read the news and whatever, and look at satirical articles and whatnot, like The Onion or comic strips that make fun of things. There is heavily appreciated art, but it's like it's easier for people to appreciate remote success than it is to appreciate the possibility of success within their own kids. So I think that's where the conflict comes into play with a lot of Asian families, where they don't want to see the bigger picture, the bigger possibilities that their kid could be that their kid could, do these wonderful things that you're talking about and contribute a great deal to society. I think I'm in slight disagreement with you about the appreciation of art. I'm sure that we appreciate it less today in a very contemplative way than we did, say, 150 years ago, because now we've got so much distracting us. But there was a time when paintings was the entertainment and plays, theater was the entertainment, but now you got a lot more, and so it's easier to appreciate it less. Going back to this, I think that it is important, like we're on the same topic here, I think it is important to appreciate the children who show or express a skill set that could lead them into that world, because you don't want to shut that down. It could be something beautiful, like the movie was saying. Like, he had this amazing natural gift to paint, and it was very bold expression. His parents were just ignoring it in favor of, you're not doing your math right, you're not doing your English right, you're not blah 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 blah.
There's so many people who just don't fit into the box of what the education system is. Not enough attention is paid to them, when really these kids could be like the next creators, the next geniuses, the next Steve Jobs. And
yeah, I was actually thinking about Steve Jobs when you said all that stuff earlier, because Steve Jobs was definitely an out-of-the-box thinker. Think about all the big technology that you use today, whether it's as simple as something as like the auto rickshaw or something as complicated as an iPhone or a Samsung Galaxy or whatever it is.
Yeah.
There was someone who had to be bold and ballsy and go, I'm gonna make this happen. It's a big risk, but it could be awesome. And everyone benefits from it, but so many people are afraid to let their kid potentially be that person. All that to say is, like, just because something is different doesn't mean it's wrong. Just because you don't understand it or you're not on board with it doesn't mean it's wrong, or it doesn't mean it doesn't make other people happy. If you haven't tried it, you don't know. Like the parents, they're not artists. They're not the artsy type, but his kid was. And just because they didn't explore that path, they didn't even think that their kid could explore that path.
And they didn't realize that he just needed a different way of learning. He wasn't dumb.
Right.
He just didn't get it the way that he was being taught. But once
Aamir
Khan came along and he understood how his brain worked, he could read,
Right.
he could write. And once they got him being graded on just his ideas as opposed to the execution of it,
Right.
he was just fine.
He was not just fine, but he excelled beyond other students.
He was really smart. So
Yeah.
I think that's an important thing to bring out into the open and have a discussion about. Maybe you know someone who's like that. Maybe you were even mean to that person when you were a kid or whatever. Maybe there's someone in your family like that, and if you can recognize that and get them the help that they need, then, you know, everyone deserves a fighting chance.
I was kind of a black sheep in my school. I didn't do the greatest in school. I had a very hard time focusing and studying. My energy was all over the place, and my mom would just like be so mad at me because she was spending money on my schooling, and she could not figure out why I didn't do as well as other kids in school. Like, I was a C student, and it was for the longest time. I didn't enjoy learning until I was a grown-up. Once I was a grown-up, then I'm like, oh my god, science is awesome, this is awesome, math is awesome. Like, I keep saying I want to go back to school to learn math just for fun, just because it seems interesting, not because I want to use it towards something. Like, it just interests me to improve on math. If my mom or anyone when I was younger were to just sit down and talk to me and try to figure out like what was going on, maybe they could have explored a different way to feed me the information they wanted me to understand. The thing is, it's like a lot of people don't want to have the patience, even though it's their job. Aamir Khan was doing in this film, that was his job. Everyone else wasn't really doing their job. They were just following the bare minimum to do their supposed job, but Aamir Khan was actually doing his job, which is trying to get inside the heads of these kids to understand them better and help them be the best possible version of themselves. And that's ultimately what it comes down to. That's a teacher's job, in my opinion. Not to be like, well, that kid sucks, you know, get rid of him.
Just put them in the remedial class, they're dumb.
Exactly,
You know?
and it's hard. I mean, I say that understanding that there's a limitation of resources in the world. Now we're getting into a whole other discussion there where it's like, why isn't your government, I'm not talking about India, I'm talking about any government in the world, including the states, especially the states. Why isn't your government focusing more on education for kids to help them excel more, to give each kid more individualized attention, as opposed to putting all your money into these other things, which is just raising more conflict, in my opinion.
That's another subject.
Yeah, I don't want to get into that. I don't want to, like, that's a deep rabbit hole. I just hope that with time, as a species, we'll understand the value and importance of individualized attention on kids and just how crucial it is. To bring it back to what I said in the beginning about feeling, as an American, my sensibilities were clashing slightly with the film initially, because it's like, okay, I had to tell myself, this is not what I'm used to.
Yeah.
And that's okay. It was lingering on the feeling that the kids, the adults, whoever were experiencing in the film, and it's like, okay, I think I got it.
Yeah.
But it kept going on about that. At a certain point, I had to go, okay, that's just this movie, and that's okay. I'm so used to American films that just, you know,
American films move very quickly nowadays.
Especially nowadays.
Especially
yeah.
nowadays.
Yeah.
And especially because nowadays we have much shorter attention spans
Sure.
than we used to.
Sure.
So this film really takes the time to explore the feelings, and the songs are a little bit longer. It felt like that to me.
Yeah.
But saying that, even though sometimes I was like you were, I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I get it, we can move on now. Saying that, I was still hit with a lot of emotion.
Sure.
I was a little bit of a weepy mess.
Yeah, and I still see the incredible value of what the film is saying and the discussion that it invites. If I got into a position of power, I would love to do an American adaptation of a story like this, because I don't think we have one. There's no American movie I can think of off the top of my head that explores this story in this way, in this manner. We're gonna conclude on that. Thanks you guys for hanging out with us. Tell us what you thought of the film, how much you loved it, why you loved it, specifically like the things about it that you liked and how you felt about our opinions. Like, I know that some of you will disagree with some of the things we said. Go into details why. That's one thing I'll ask of you guys is sometimes I see comments and people are like, you didn't get it, and then period. And it's like, well,
Tell me why. Educate me.
Educate me. Like, tell me exactly what why you feel that way, because then we can actually have a dialogue. Because
Exactly.
if you just say you're wrong, I'm like, okay.
Change my mind.
How about no? Like, I don't know like why. I need information. So if you guys can be just a little bit more detailed in your comments, that would be superb. Thanks you guys for hanging out with us. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Check out ACHARA KIRK on the social media and our other reviews, short films, video game related videos, and reactions. We have some of those on this channel.